Hello and welcome to the Summon, the African Summon, where we connect you to Africa and African culture. Today we continue our read of The Good Foot by Cameroon, Nsanda Eba. Do invite your friends, neighbors, and loved ones and join us for this read. While you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and share. Welcome. Chapter 7, Come and See America Wonder. The school year usually ended just before Christmas, almost coinciding with the end of the calendar year. There were many activities to mark the end of the school year. First, there was the period of examinations, a very solemn time indeed. If you passed the exams, you were promoted to the next class. If you failed, you would have to repeat the class. Mbamu was sitting the promotion exam for entry into Standard 2. The exams usually lasted a week, although the entire exams were organized like this to give the teachers time to mark the papers. Usually the exams were done in the morning hours, and after recess, all the school children did manual labor. To Mbamu, the exams seemed very many and lengthy. He had 7 classes to do: dictation, writing, composition, mental arithmetic, sums, hygiene, and nature study. But actually, there were only 3 subjects: English, arithmetic, and rural science. The exams were not very difficult for Mbamu, although he was somewhat shaken after the sums exams. He copied all his answers on a piece of paper, which he brought out with him after the exams. Everyone did this. When he compared his answers with the rest of the class, very few seemed to correspond with their answers. Boys with similar answers grouped together and rejoiced among themselves. Yes, I had 7 3/4 for number 4. What did you have, Mbamu? That can't be right. Why? The rest of us had 7 1/4. Surely you don't expect all of us to be wrong. Let's see. Yes, 25 for number 7. Mbamu needn't worry. The rule of the majority did not always work, especially in arithmetic exams. He came top of his class in arithmetic, all right, but he did not know this since the results were not yet announced. Although the exams were scheduled for a week, in practice they were over in 3 days. They started on Monday and were finished on Wednesday. Thursday and Friday were devoted entirely to manual labor. Mbamu hated manual labor. Although he was usually given a small portion to cut, he was small and very clumsy with a machete. He was the smallest boy in his class, but since the manual labor was distributed according to class, not to age or size, he always had to struggle along with the bigger boys. On Friday, the bigger boys in Standard 5 and 6 were engaged in building a stage in one of the larger classrooms. There was usually an annual concert in the school, but somehow Mbamu had never attended one. From a distance, Mbamu saw that all the teachers' tables were being taken to the Standard 3 classroom, where the concert would be held. The whole school consisted of 3 long buildings, each building divided into several classrooms. One building was for the infant classes, classes 1 and 2. One for the junior primary, Standard 1 to 4, and the third for the senior primary, Standards 5 and 6. And this also contained the headmaster's office. The arrangement for the concert was that guests would enter the hall through the door leading to the Standard 4 classroom, and the actors would enter the stage through the Standard 2 door. All the stage props were kept in the Standard 2 classroom. During recess, Mbamu went there to have a closer look at what was really going on. What he saw so surprised him that he forgot all about recess. Was that the Standard 3 room he knew so well, or a fairy house? About 12 teachers' tables had been assembled in the part of the room nearest the Standard 2. These would form the stage. For steps, there were 2 people's desks. He saw a group of big girls sewing a number of bed sheets together. These, he was told, would be used as a curtain and hung in front of the stage. Many objects which would be used for the concert were being assembled in the Standard 2 classroom. As Mbamu had never seen a concert before, he could not understand what it was all about. When evening came, Mbamu was fortunate to secure a comfortable seat with other small children on the floor a few feet from the stage. From this vantage position, he could see everything that happened on the stage. There were many people in the room, people Mbamu had never seen before. Most of the bigger boys were crowded at the back of the hall, but a good number were outside, crowded at the window. The headmaster stood up and said something about the concert. The hall became quiet, and soon afterwards the curtains opened. This thrilled Mbamu very much, as he did not know that two boys hidden from the audience were pulling the strings which operated the curtains. But what thrilled Mbamu even more was the stage itself. It was well lit with Aladdin lamps and beautifully decorated. As yet, nobody was in sight, and he wondered what would happen next. It had been arranged that each class would present at least a play or a recitation. Most of the junior classes presented only recitations or one-act plays. During the third term, all the actors had practiced for the concert in private in the classrooms during manual labor periods. They had been instructed to tell no one, not even their parents, about the parts they would play, so as not to diminish the curiosity of the audience at the actual performance. The first person to appear was a little girl of Mbamu's age. She was well dressed in white. She walked to the center of the stage and curtsied and said, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky." When she had finished the entire recitation, which consisted of 3 verses, she curtsied again and everybody clapped. Then the curtains closed. The next act was a song. Mbamu enjoyed this very much, not only because of the melody, but because the 6 boys and 4 girls who sang the song swayed from side to side as the chorus was sung. Sometimes only one boy or one girl would sing. After that, all would join in. The chorus went like this: "Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling Clementine, thou art lost and gone forever, dreadful sorrow, Clementine." After each group had performed, the audience would clap and everybody would start talking, almost all at once. Then the curtains would open again and all would become quiet. At one point, the curtains refused to close and the boys operating it from behind came out and pulled them forcefully. It was then that Mbamu discovered the real secret to the curtains. After a while, Mbamu became tired. He was tired of looking up at the stage and could not understand all that was said. But one of the plays made a deep impression on him. This was staged by the Standard 6 boys. Although Mbamu did not understand half of what was said, he enjoyed the action, which was very funny. The play was called Cocks and Bucks. There was a funny woman in the play called Mrs. Bouncer, and it was only halfway through that Mbamu discovered that Mrs. Bouncer was none other than the Standard 2 teacher when Cox threw away a plate of food, saying, "There goes Mrs. Bouncer's breakfast." Even Mbamu roared with laughter, together with the rest of the audience. Mbamu returned home that evening very tired, but very happy. The concert had indeed been a success. The teachers were happy, and the parents, who had formed a large part of the audience. But for some children, the happiness was to be short-lived, because the following morning was the final day of school, the day the headmaster would read out the results of all the children in the school. Results day was always a bad day for the failures, and the majority of the children came to school that morning not knowing whether they had passed or failed. All children assembled in the football field facing the main school building and standing in lines according to classes. Then the headmaster came, and after the usual morning prayers had been said, he began to read out the results, starting with class 1. When he came to standard 2, Mbamu's heart stood still. The first boy is Thomas Mbaraga. Applause. The second is Vincent Ashu. Applause. And so on. The fifth is George Mbamu. Mbamu nearly fainted with happiness. He did not listen to the other names after this. What mattered was that he had passed, and had passed well too. He was going to standard 2. Oh, fancy that. Such a small boy as himself in standard 2. Oh, his father and mother would be so proud. What a welcome he would receive. Standard 2. No longer at the bottom of the primary section of the school. Unbelievable. Unfortunately, Mbamu's parents were not there to rejoice with him like his other friends. He was so lonely, no relatives, no friends. But he was happy, very happy. But this was not the case with everyone. Even before the headmaster had finished reading all the results, the usual commotion characteristic of this last day of school had begun. Here and there were groups of boys and girls weeping. Some wept because they had failed and had to repeat the class. Some wept, not because they had failed, but because they had dropped in position. Last term, he was the 6th. Now he is the 26th. Others wept, not so much because they had failed, but because of the beating they knew would be sure to come as soon as they arrived at their homes. Those parents and relatives who lived in Quito and the nearby villages were there for the results. Some children were carried shoulder high by proud and rejoicing parents, and some were already having a taste of the wrath to come. Come here, you, Mbamu heard one angry parent say to his boy who had failed. All the school fees for the year wasted. What were you doing in school? Playing? Come, you shall see. Whack, whack. And the unfortunate boy, already whimpering in tears, was dragged home like a lamb to the slaughter. But further away was a different scene. Yes, I told you. That stupid teacher hates our son, a woman was telling her husband as she wiped the tears from her son's eyes. Yes, every time he gives me only 2/10, no matter how hard I try, said the boy. I told you that you should see that teacher. Why is he against our son? She pleaded with her husband. Oh, shut up. The boy is a fool, was all the husband said. How dare you call our Albert a fool? Look at his handwriting. It's so beautiful. How could she tell when she herself was illiterate? Oh, the way he forms his letters. Perhaps the teacher wants a bribe. Mbamu heard this dialogue and just laughed to himself. The boy in question was his classmate and was clearly a fool. He never gave a correct answer and had almost all his sums wrong in the past exam. Anyway, that was no concern of his. He had packed his things in his little wooden box and was ready to start the 20-mile trek to see his parents at Duma. Normally, it was a tedious journey, very tiring, especially when the sun was hot. But today, he was walking on clouds. A standard 2 boy was coming home. Christmas is usually a period of festivities when there is lots of everything, food and drink. It is also a period when people buy new dresses for themselves and their loved ones. If a woman cannot extract a new dress from her husband during Christmas, be sure she was going to go for the whole year without a dress. Preparations for Christmas start long before the feast. Workers save money towards celebrating Christmas. Women save money in rusty cigarette tins, well concealed in a hidden corner of the room, to buy a new head tie or some second-hand shoes for Christmas. They know that their husbands cannot buy everything for them. On Christmas Day itself, the women spend the morning hours cooking the main meal. Some women have cooked this on Christmas Eve and simply heated it up in the morning. Invariably, it was rice and stew with lots of meat, sometimes pork or beef or mutton or chicken. But whatever it is, there is a lot for everybody in the family and for many visitors that are bound to call before the day is over. It is the one day when children eat as much as they want. By midday, children band together in small groups and dance and sing from door to door. Oh, Cocorico, oh yeah. Oh, Cocorico, oh yeah. Juju don't come, oh yeah. Sarati, Juju, oh yeah. Masachasi pocket. Sometimes the children are given gifts, a few pennies, some sweets of food. Sometimes they draw a blank. What some people do is to shut their door when they hear the children are far off. When the children see a shut door, but know that there are people within, they usually persist with their singing until someone comes out. If he or she is wicked and drives them away, they leave singing. Oh, massa bad hat. Oh, mami bad hat. Oh, yeah. Oh, massa bad hat. Oh, yeah. Oh, mami bad hat. Oh, Cocorico. Oh, yeah. Oh, Cocorico. Oh, yeah. Juju don't come. This Christmas was a very happy one for Mbamu. He had a new shirt and a new pair of shoes, a raffia bag for his books, a bamboo flute, and lots of other petty gifts. On Christmas Day, after the main family meal was eaten and the dishes were washed and put away, Mbamu put on his new clothes and accompanied his parents to Beaver. On the way, he saw lots of people, all very colorfully dressed. Mama, why is that woman walking like that? Perhaps her feet are hurting her, Mbamu remarked to his mother. Not so loud, she rebuked. She is wearing high heels. Ha! I bet she has never worn shoes in her life. They are shoes with very high heels. If you don't know how to walk in them, you can sprain your ankle. Mama, have you ever worn high heels before? Not me, my child. Only white women wear such shoes. I wonder where she got these from for herself. Oh, the O was directed to the woman with the shoes just in front of them, who had tripped on something and nearly fell. Sorry, my sister, sympathized Mbamu's mother. How far are you going? I'm going to Beaver. Oh, those shoes. I shall never get to Beaver today, the woman said. Why don't you take them off? Just before you get to Beaver, you can wear them again. She did just that and thanked Mbamu's mother for the kind advice. Women of today want to be beautiful, but they don't know that beauty hurts. This last remark by Mbamu's mother was an aside to her husband. When they arrived at Beaver, they went straight to the house of the friend they had come to visit. The house was already full of visitors, all drinking nimbo and chatting. Happy Christmas, Mbamu's father greeted, and everybody replied, happy, happy, happy. Mbamu's mother went to join the other ladies in the kitchen, while Mbamu and his father remained in the parlor. The chatting was very loud and happy. At one point, someone got up to make a speech, and he started by drinking a toast. He stood up, held up his horn of mimbo and said, pe-eep, and everybody answered, hooray, pe-eep, hooray. Who says? God says before King George. Then he started his speech, but it was too adult and boring for Mbamu, so he sneaked out unnoticed to look around. Hey, you there, come join our juju. A group of boys were a short distance away and they were inviting Mbamu to join them and swell their numbers. One of them wore a mask and palm leaves shredded to stripes all round his waist. It was difficult to tell who was behind the mask. Mbamu told them to wait for him. Then he ran back to the house and told his father that he wanted to play with his friends. Make sure you come back by evening. We shall not sleep here, you know. Thank you, Papa. He ran off to join his friends, and then they started singing. Come and see America wonder, come and see America wonder. Do you know America wonder? Come and see America wonder. Come and see America wonder. Come and see America wonder. Do you know America wonder? Come and see America wonder. As they sang, they all clapped their hands, while the masquerade hopped and danced to the rhythm and the music. They moved from door to door and received gifts from people. After about an hour, they disbanded, not because they were tired, but because the scene was being taken over by the elders. The final straw came when they saw an elderly but really frightful masquerade coming straight at them. Mbamu's group's masquerade was so frightened that they threw down their little mask and ran away for dear life. The adult masquerade always frightened children and women and sometimes chased them, threatening to beat them or pierce them with their lances. The adult dances were very good. Some were exclusively for women. They sang so beautifully and danced so gracefully. In some groups, little bells were tied round their ankles, and this gave additional melody to the singing. Other groups were exclusively for men. In such groups, the dances were very vigorous and strenuous, but also very rhythmic. With all the stamping and jumping, Mbamu kept fearing that they might step on each other's toe. What he really feared most was the clashing of the swords and lances. The dancers waved their swords above their heads, turned about and chased them in pairs. The blades sounded like cymbals. Mbamu would close his eyes at such moments, afraid that they might cut themselves. But no accidents ever happened. In other groups, men and women danced together. Mbamu was not ready to leave when he felt his mother pulling him from behind. "Where have you been all this time?" she asked. "We looked all over the place for you. Do you think we shall sleep here?" "Oh, Mama, but the dances are still hot. We can't go now." "Come on, Papa is waiting." On their way home, they met a lot of drunks swaying from side to side of the road. Everybody they met greeted them with "happy, happy, happy," not caring whether anybody responded. Everybody was tired when they got home. It was already night, and since they had eaten a lot at Biva, nobody cared for supper. Mbamu went straight to bed and soon fell asleep. He dreamed that he was dancing a dance called Dodokido. He danced so well that he was led to the center, a place of honor. All of a sudden, the circle of dancers round him became a circle of masquerades with horrible masks, all grimacing at him. They closed on him, but he had no way of escaping. He could feel their horrible breath all over him, and he screamed. The shout woke him up, and then he found that he had been dreaming. He also noticed that he had his knees bent while dreaming. Whenever he slept with his knees bent and had nightmares, he could not escape. Had his knees been straight, he would have found a way of escaping. At least so his mother told him. He slept like a log after the nightmare and got up the next morning when the sun was already high in the sky. And that's where we end our read for today. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to join us for chapter 8 to invite your friends and loved ones for this read. Until next time, I'm Manondo Akono saying thank you for responding to this summon.